The cold before the storm. Temperatures fall to -12 and yet more challenging weather is on its way. Storm Goretti will follow the snow and ice that's closed schools and caused travel disruption in parts of the UK. We'll have the latest weather warnings and the calls for the army to help those who are cut off. Also this lunchtime, the doctor will see you now online. NHS England announces which conditions will be treated in a new virtual hospital. A real-life Erin Brockovich. We speak to the British mum who's travelled to Italy to try to prove her son's cancer was caused by toxic waste where they live. Nestlé recalls some baby formula over food poisoning fears. We'll have the details.
Helena just drops down the stairs.
Couldn't see. It was because there was an extra step. It attacked me.
I know.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Nina Hussain.
Good afternoon. First, the snow, soon a storm. Parts of the UK are already battling a freezing start to the year, with the snow closing around 1,000 schools and causing travel disruption. Worst hit is Scotland. One MP has called on both the Scottish and UK governments to bring in the army to help those cut off. Last night was the coldest night of the winter so far, with temperatures plummeting to -12.5 degrees in Norfolk. Right now, the Met Office has issued weather warnings for snow and ice across large parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, with the second highest amber warnings for snow now in force in North and North East Scotland. This morning, the Met Office issued a new snow and ice warning for most of the country tomorrow. That's all before the first named storm of the year. Storm Goretti is forecast to bring yet more snow and strong winds from France to parts of England and Wales on Thursday. Here's Charanpreet Kaur.
On the railway between Aberdeen and Elgin, the cold spell is refusing to loosen its grip, forcing closures on rail lines buried under snow. The Met Office has warned of travel disruption across the country, with roads icy after the coldest night of the winter. In the worst affected parts of northern Scotland, clearing the snow is the first task before gritters can carve paths through the frost. Despite the treacherous conditions, Norfolk police say drivers aren't always taking extra care.
We still see people speeding, unfortunately, not defrosting the car properly, and probably not even dressing suitably.
Some might be better equipped to negotiate the ice, but while lakes and rivers may look solid, the dangers are real. A serious accident was narrowly avoided in Epping this weekend, when a man rescued his dog from the ice, only to need rescuing himself. While all escaped unscathed, authorities are urging caution around frozen water. For thousands of school children, an extended Christmas holiday. In Norfolk, which recorded the coldest temperature in the country last night, 35 schools remain shut, including Drayton Junior, which lost its hot water overnight. Further north in Whitby Bay, a proper snow day, complete with a snowman. For the grown-ups, though, the snow and ice continue to cause disruption and anxiety.
I'm struggling myself. I'm full of arthritis and I've got to go on the road. Soon have to do it.
What can you do? It's winter. It's nature. It's nature's way, and that's it. There's nothing you can do to change it.
For continual, like 4 or 5 days of snow, it's just been a bit relentless.
And there's more to come. Storm Goretti is on the horizon, and it's expected to spread snow and ice even further across the country. Charanpreet Kaur, ITV News.
Let's go live now to Aberdeenshire and join our Scotland correspondent Peter Smith. How is it there this lunchtime?
Well, cold, definitely I can tell you it's cold. We are now in the middle of that renewed amber weather warning here. We're expecting more snow to fall in the northeast of Scotland. And in Aberdeenshire here, you can see there's already a fair amount, about just over a foot of snow, and there was more snow fell again overnight. Now, we are hearing as well there are calls for the military to be mobilised here, and I spoke to the MP Andrew Bowie who's been making these calls, and we found out for ourselves exactly why. We've been out here in Ellen. We're seeing volunteer 4x4 drivers who are having to help pharmacists to take medical supplies to the elderly and the vulnerable, picking up doctors and taking people also to their hospital appointments because they are completely cut off. We're seeing large amounts of residential areas that are snowed in. They haven't seen a snow plough. They haven't seen a gritter at all. And we are now, of course, on day 6 here. Some of the elderly people we're speaking to haven't been out in 2026 so far, and they haven't spoken to another person if they're living alone. The volunteer drivers were the first people they've actually met this year. And now we are expecting a response from the Scottish Government shortly to that call for the military to be mobilised. And we do know that there will be an announcement in Holyrood in the Scottish Parliament chamber in just under an hour.
OK, we'll look out for both of those things. Peter Smith, thank you very much. Thank you. The rise of online medical appointments is continuing. Today, NHS England announced which conditions will be treated in its new online hospital, which will be rolled out next year. People suffering from menopausal or prostate problems will be among the first to be seen by a consultant on a video call once they've had a referral from a GP.
We are launching NHS Online, which is a service that means that people will be able to be referred to specialists right across the country, online and quicker than they might otherwise have to wait if they want to see a local specialist.
I'm joined now by our health correspondent, Rebecca Barry. That's some of the thinking behind it there from Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary. Will it work?
Well, shifting the NHS from an analogue service into a digital one was a central part of the government's 10-year plan for the health service. And in September, the Prime Minister announced that there would be this online hospital service to try and cut waiting times. And today we got the list of conditions that we treated under that service. And they include things like glaucoma, inflammatory bowel disease, prostate enlargement, menopause and menstrual problems, which might be a sign of endometriosis. So here's how it'll work. If a GP refers someone for specialist care, you'll be able to go on the NHS app and book a video consultation with a doctor anywhere in the country. So you'll be able to do that without leaving your home or place of work, and you won't have to wait for an in-person appointment. For some people who prefer to have face-to-face doctor's appointments, they will be able to still opt for that. But the idea is it will drive down waiting lists and speed up care. Lots of hospitals already run virtual services. So I think the idea is to scale that up across the country. The waiting list across England currently stands at 7.4 million. So you can see why this is a priority. It's widely being welcomed, anything to cut the very long waits, especially for things like menopause and menstrual health. But experts are concerned about how this is going to be implemented. There's no new extra funding for this, and people like the Nuffield Trust question how doctors and nurses are going to be able to take this on without impacting their existing work. And of course, there's the NHS IT infrastructure. It is already notoriously difficult to share information between different parts of the health service. Even getting things like scans can be really frustrating. So all of that will need to be tackled.
Indeed. While we're on the subject of hospital doctors, and we're talking about consultants in this, but resident doctors, the old junior doctors, what's the latest on the BMA, the British Medical Association's dispute?
Well, resident doctors in the British Medical Association are currently being balloted about whether they want to continue their strike action. And this morning, the Health Secretary revealed that he will be meeting members of the BMA this week, but he said that they need to bridge the gap between expectations on pay and what the government can actually afford.
OK, Rebecca Barry, thank you very much. Thank you. Next to Paris and the latest summit of the so-called Coalition of the Willing. Allies of Ukraine are trying to sign off security guarantees for Kyiv. But the meeting, attended by Donald Trump's peace negotiators, comes just days after America's raid on Venezuela and with the US president now setting his sights on annexing Greenland. Our Europe editor James Mates is in the French capital this lunchtime.
President Zelensky says they're 90% of the way towards a peace agreement. That last 10%, of course, is always going to be the hardest, not least because it includes security guarantees from the Americans, from the Europeans and the Coalition of the Willing, all of whom are going to be here today. 2 American representatives, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, along with Sir Keir Starmer and the French and the Germans. biggest problem here is that getting security guarantees in place may get the Ukraine side of this deal over the line, but are likely to be rejected by the Russians, particularly Ukrainian insistence that there be at least British and French troops stationed in Ukraine after a peace deal is done. President Putin is most unlikely to accept that. The other problem, of course, is what's going on over in America, particularly the repeated threats from President Trump and members of his administration to Greenland, the sovereign territory of Denmark, a NATO member. This is what Steve Miller, an advisor to President Trump, said in an interview with CNN last night.
The United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
And that's as clear a threat as you can imagine. They're trying to put in place Article 5 type NATO-like guarantees for Ukraine at the same time as President Trump and his advisors are threatening a NATO member. Those meeting here, the Europeans, issued a statement this morning, signed up to by Britain, basically saying, hands off Greenland, yes, we'll do more for its defence, but it's Danish territory, and we will not stop defending the UN Charter and the NATO treaty. So the strongest we've heard yet from the Europeans. It doesn't create a great atmosphere for these talks.
James Mates there in Paris. A British couple has travelled to Italy in a bid to try to prove a link between childhood diseases and where they live. Alison Gaffney and Andy Hines' son was diagnosed with a rare form of blood cancer when he was a toddler. He was born in Corby, home to Britain's biggest toxic waste scandal and subject of the Netflix drama Toxic Town. Corby's steelworks began closing in the 1980s. In 2009, a High Court judge ruled the then council was responsible for toxic waste being negligently moved from the steelworks, causing birth defects in 18 children. But campaigners like Fraser's parents are now questioning whether the contamination has caused much wider health problems. They travelled 1,000 miles to the coastal town of Taranto to meet families who believe the same about where they live, where their steelworks is still operating to this day. Alison joins me in the studio now. Thank you for coming in to talk to us. Tell me, when you got to that town, what did parents there tell you?
It was very similar stories to what we're hearing at home. Everything mirrored each other and what we were talking about. So when we were talking about our son with a rare cancer, heartbreaking to hear another family mention the same, and all of the other health problems that they're seeing. It was just direct mirroring.
And this is a town where children talk about cancer in a kind of everyday fashion because they appear to be surrounded by it.
They're very scared of getting cancer, these children. You could see it in their eyes when you're talking to them. It's just really heartbreaking to see the fear that they live with daily, because they know so many that have been affected and they worry that they're going to be next.
And obviously it's affected you and your family personally, with Fraser being diagnosed when he was 17 months. He's now 9. How is he?
He's amazing, considering the chances of him surviving were 5%, basically 0 at times. We are ever so lucky that we have a very happy boy. We do have a lot of complex complications with him from treatment, but he's happy and he's cheeky and he's here with us.
He must be very proud of what you are trying to do and the campaign that you are continuing. When you were out in Italy, you also visited a hospital there and you spoke to one of the doctors who's got concerns of his own. Let's take a listen.
There is a clear link between environmental and the presence of childhood cancer. In my opinion, it is important also to study other diseases of childhood that we have, like diabetes, like epilepsy, like autism.
Were you surprised by what he said, that he thinks more conditions, childhood diseases, need investigating in this situation?
No, not at all. Other people are looking into other health effects that could have been caused by heavy metals from contaminated land. So we're very well aware that this could be a multitude of different things. Obviously, we're focusing on the childhood cancers, but it's very worrying to think that there may be a lot more out there.
How will this experience of going there and seeing people who are still living with alive steelworks today affect your campaign as you go on?
It's made us a lot more stronger, if anything, to fight. We feel so sorry for the people of Toronto. They wake up daily and see these steelworks. We don't have that now, and we know that even when they close, if they close, they're going to then be left with a legacy problem that we are having now. So it's a fight of different communities from different places that we can all fight together, because we have the same aspect of, we just want prevention, we just want to protect our people.
Alison Gaffney, thank you very much for coming to talk to us about this. Well, the Ilva plant in Italy has not responded to our request for a comment on this story, but back here, Northamptonshire Council said we are currently verifying data regarding the number of childhood cancer cases recorded for children living in Corby to understand whether there are any potential cancer clusters. This follows requests and concerns from members of the local community, and we are keen to provide our support. Assessing the available data, ensuring that it is accurate and understanding what it shows is our priority at this stage. And you can watch a special report on this on tonight's evening news and see more of it on our website. That's at the usual address, itv.com/news. Next, a warning for parents with babies. The food giant Nestlé has recalled some of its baby formula over concerns they may contain a food poisoning toxin. The company said several batches of its SMA infant formula and follow-on formula were not safe to be fed to babies. The Food Standards Agency says the batches could cause nausea, vomiting and stomach cramps. From Nestlé's offices in Crawley, our reporter James Goodison has the details.
There's a lot of concern, not just here for Nestlé, but also for families up and down the country. I picked up this baby formula this morning. You can find it everywhere in service stations, supermarkets, and in the cupboards of families. Now, this specific box is absolutely fine, but others like it, the same size, the same formula, does include this really difficult toxin. Nestlé's put out all of the different formulas and batch numbers that need to be recalled. They include some really concerning ones noted in Northern Ireland. There's formula for premature babies that needs to be recalled, as well as anti-reflux formula as well. And you can see all of the batch numbers on the ITV News website. Nestlé, for their part, have said that they're very sorry and that the issue has come from an ingredient that was given to them by a supplier. The advice at the moment, though, is if you're worried your baby's ingested it or feeling unwell, call 111 or speak to your local GP.
James Goodison reporting there. Drivers over the age of 70 could face mandatory eye tests under new road safety plans. It's one of the measures being considered ahead of a new government strategy being published tomorrow. Experts say the risk of crashes increases significantly among those aged over 80. But officials hope this change could boost safety without unnecessarily restricting the mobility and freedom of older drivers. Shoppers spent an average of £476 at supermarkets in December, up £15 on the year before, the latest figures show. It comes as grocery inflation eased at the end of last year. The highest spending was on fresh meat. And Chelsea has appointed Liam Rosenior as their new head coach on a deal until 2032. He becomes the club's fourth permanent boss since 2022. He'll replace Enzo Marchesa, who left the club on New Year's Day. Finally, this lunchtime, it's not quite dying for their art, but two stars of a new Agatha Christie drama have suffered a few stumbles on set.
Stay away from anything to do with Seven Dials.
I am not going to stop until I find out the truth.
People who go looking for trouble usually find it.
She fell down the stairs while filming her new Netflix special, Seven Dials. But it was even worse for her.
Was it a sharper intake of breath for Helena falling than it was for yours yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because also, Helena's fall was way more dramatic.
Right.
You went down the stairs.
Shot. I went down, I disappeared.
Yeah, that's on camera somewhere.
Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Richard Arnold speaking to the stars of Seven Dials. Mary will be here with the latest on the evening news at 6:30 from me and everybody on the Lunchtime team. Bye-bye.